You're listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, episode 61. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, where positivity and spirituality create an enhanced life's journey with the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha. I am your host, Iya Omileti Olubumi. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. I am Omileti Olubumi. Thank you for spending some of your time with me to talk about all things Orisha, spirituality, and growth. So, turn up the volume in your earbuds, hook them on, get ready to do your walking, your exercise, your driving with me. Turn up the volume of the car. No earbuds in the car. No earbuds in the car. Grab a cup of coffee, tea, something good to drink. Water's always good. And let's chat. This episode is being brought to you by Olubumi Creations. Have you ever gone to a store and said, oh my God, I want to get a gift for someone or myself, and I want it to be Orisha things? And you go to the store and you have to I guess Oshun will have to get some flowery things for this priest that I like, or Yemaya, mermaids. And there's nothing quite in particular other than going to the net, and you have to scour it to get something that you like. This is why Olubumi Creations was made. It is made by an Orisha follower for Orisha followers of the world. And guess what? It's Orisha art, Orisha sayings, Orisha. There's starting to be less jewelry now, thank goodness. So whatever you can get your hands on, get it, because once they're gone, they're gone. And it's all Orisha inspired. And it's all about the gift of the power of the word. So a lot of lettering with beautiful colors to suit your love for Orisha. So check us out at Olubumi Creations. We are still working on the website, but it is on Etsy, and you can definitely check it out on the info link, which is at orishawisdom.com/Iya Omileti. And just go in there and click on it. And if you like a piece of art, get it, and it is yours. This is an Ask a Priest episode. For those of you who are new to the podcast, welcome. We really appreciate you listening and supporting this podcast. And in this series, it is made where you, the community, get to ask questions that you've always wanted to ask to an Olorisha or an Orisha priest, and now you have your chance. I'll put it on the show notes on how you can ask your burning question for a chance to get your question answered here on the podcast. But if you must have it this second, because you need to, it is orishawisdom.com/ask a priest, no slashes in between. With that, let's get this episode going. Damon asks, get ready because it's not a quick question. Hi, my girlfriend is Cuban, lived here in the UK for many years, and her father is a priest in the religion. He has suggested I have my 3-day ceremony to obtain my life sign, but I'm anxious because, 1, I'm new to the religion, but want to do it for my girlfriend. And 2, I have this feeling of mistrust with him because of things that have happened and been said in the past, because he has asked Orula in some big decisions that I feel my girlfriend and myself should make as two grown adults. He has been in the religion for 20 plus years, but is involved in every decision we make. Plus, I mistrust the business side of the religion and feel he may be abusing it for self-gain from myself. I might be completely wrong, but the doubt is constantly on my mind. So here's where the question comes in. Am I overthinking the religion aspects? First of all, Damon, wow, thank you. And then wow again. Thank you for the backdrop of your question, because if not, I would have been like, I have no idea what context you're talking about. Let's unpack it a little bit. I chose this question as I was going through and said, ooh, let's pick another question. But a couple of things popped out. Number one, this is your words. I'm anxious because, one, I'm new to this religion, but want to do it for my girlfriend. So let's talk about that for a little bit. You are new to the traditions. Awesome and welcome. Enjoy the time being new. Enjoy the time that you will take to learn. Enjoy every part of the discovery, every aspect, every feeling. Enjoy that part. Wanting to do it for your girlfriend is admirable, so I'll give you that. It talks about your openness and your willingness to do things a different way for the love and the care that you have for your girlfriend. And again, it is admirable. But in the end, it will not work if you don't do it for you. Many people go in and they change religions. We're not talking about just the Orisha traditions. They change religions, I don't know, from Catholic to Buddhist or whatever it is, to please and appease the other person. And you're like, I'm doing the best that I can, and I really love him or her. Why won't this work? It's not that it won't. I'm not a God for me to tell you whether it's going to work or not. However, it has to be done because you want to do it, because you want to go through these things. And there is a set of commitment from each of the steps that you are going to take in our traditions. So it's not that it's not going to work. It's not like you're not going to find a ray or a good outcome. It's not that. It's just you have to do it because you want to do it for yourself, because you love the Orishas, because you love these traditions, because you want to grow in this arena. And other than that, it's not going to work as much if you don't do it for you. There might be resentments at the end because you kind of just did it for her and not for you. And this resentment may not come today, may not come tomorrow, may not come next year, but it may be 10 years from now, maybe 15 years from now. And now you're going to be stuck with things that you're like, well, I didn't really care for this, but I did it for you or for her. The commitment is way too great to do it for just one person. Every time that you receive something spiritual, it's a commitment that you are making with that Orisha and with the priest who is giving you these things. Ilekes, warriors, whatever it is. It's a commitment. The commitment that you are saying, yes, I'm going to commit to every week. I'm going to do this with my warriors. Every couple of months, I'm going to come to Ifa. Yes, every time there is an event, I'm going to be here. I will always cherish this person in their anniversary and all that stuff. It's a commitment. I'm going to be there. I'm going to help out. I'm going to do all those things. Are you really willing to do that for the sake of just one person? Here's another thought. No, I'm not being a downer, but it is a reality. This relationship could dissolve. And then what? You now have a bunch of religious things because you wanted to please your girlfriend? Are you going to maintain that commitment after the relationship is done? And how are you going to cope if it is with somebody that you're not feeling too keen about? These are things that may need to be considered. I'm going to go to another area of your message. These are your words. I have this feeling of mistrust with him because of things that have happened and been said in the past, because he has asked Orula some big decisions that I feel my girlfriend and I should make as two grown adults. The first thing that caught my eye was the first bit. You have this feeling of mistrust. That right there is a red flag that you should listen and adhere to always. If something does not feel right, then listen to do that now and early while there are no commitments. No commitments. I may go back to that bit because I know it's self-explanatory, but I want to go to the second part of that. In our traditions, when it comes to major decisions, yes, major decisions will go through the oracles. What do I personally consider major decisions? This list might not be complete, but these were the ones in top of mind as I was preparing for this episode to respond to you. Getting married. That's a biggie. Physical ailments. Feeling off for way too long. So your mind is not in the right place. You're not feeling great. You're scattered. You're just off. Then I would go to the oracles. Wanting to find a spouse. I know you're not there, but I'm just giving you the list. Starting a business. Wanting to have a child, like you can't conceive, and you want to prepare. Buying a house. Adopting a child. Problems at work. Finding a job. This list is not complete, but like I said, these are major things. Some people go to Orisha for readings for everything, and I mean every little thing. And that is not necessary, but some people do it. You can use your head for many things on your own. The challenge will be if your girlfriend is in these traditions, she will go for advice to her babalao, or in this case, her father, for her issues with or without you, as she should, because that is where she's at. I have a couple of questions for you. Have you discussed with her the trust issues that you have with this priest, who happens to be her father? This is going to be very challenging, but if you are considering this for a long term, these are conversations that you should have now versus waiting until it becomes unbearable. Or do you feel that you might offend her? Do you feel that you cannot speak to her about this? This might also be a situation for the future. If you're not able to talk to your partner, this is a problem. And it's more of a it's more of a relationship problem than a religious problem. But because religion is part of her life, they kind of mesh together. If you cannot speak with her now about an issue, I mentioned this before, but honestly, what do you think will happen 10 years down the line? After marriage, and maybe a couple of kids. And now you're having a bunch of ceremonies, orishas you may have to initiate, who knows? And a lot of thousands of dollars, or if you're in the UK, pounds later, what's going to happen then? These are questions that only you have the answer to. A lot of meditation should happen so that you can do what is right for you, because I'm sure there are many other things that were not said in your question. Here's another part. He has been in the religion for 20 plus years, but is involved in every decision we make. Plus, I mistrust the business side of the religion and feel he may be abusing it for self-gain from myself. Again, the issue here that pops out is the mistrust issue that you're having. All priests, I will tell you, Damon, all priests will charge for their services. Some will charge more than others. In the community, we have a sense of like a range. Like there's a range of prices for certain things. And yes, to get what is being asked of you, which seems to be the hand of Ifa, that seems to be that 3-day ceremony, it's going to cost you more than £1,000, as here in the States, it usually starts at $1,500 in most places. The price may vary, but this is the kind of money that we're talking about. The good thing is that when you get that information, we're talking about the hand of Ifa, you will have your life path laid out before you. It's not going to be complete, I'll tell you that, but it's going to be a dang good map for you. The bad thing is that if you do not trust that priest and have issues with the person giving it to you, you will forever be tied to that person as you received this ceremony from them. Yes, you can distance yourself from that person in the future, but there will always be a tie in some way because this person gave you the hand of Ifa with that Odu that is tied to your life's map. My thoughts by reading this question, and I read it several times, but each time what really stood out is that your primary issue is trust, well, meaning distrust, which is why this question stood out. And I feel that this is a great example and a great question. If you do not trust that priest, then do not work with that priest. Simple. You're not tied to anything right now. If your girlfriend has an issue with that, it's going to be difficult. You might need to find another priest in the traditions to work with, someone that you can trust. If for some reason you do not trust a person, why would you or anyone share their intimate life with them? Intimate does not mean sex. We're talking about what happens in your mind, what is going on in your life, what is projected. You're not going to want to share this. I mean, if you are, you're better than me, because I know that if I tell you I do not trust you, you're definitely never going to read me because I don't trust you. I say, you answered your own question in a way. If there is doubt, and quite a lot of it by what I read, trust your gut. Your gut usually gives you signs like, please don't go in this direction. But we tend to bypass it, and we do. And we're like later on, oh, how did I get into this spot? And we have to listen to them. As subtle as those signs may be, but your signs are not subtle. It's screaming, no, heck no, no way, don't pass go, don't enter here. I don't like this. And I'm asking you to trust your gut. If you want to avoid issues with your significant other, this might help. When couples are together, they usually have their own doctors, their own dentists, their own person, quote unquote person, to help them with quote unquote whatever it is. Why? Because it's a preference thing. I like my doctor and I'm not leaving her. And when one doctor quit on me, I was ready to break down the whole office because I was not happy that my doctor was leaving. I don't care that she has to go to a better place. She has to stay there to help me because I have a relationship with my doctor. If you have children, you like a particular pediatrician, you're going to stick to that pediatrician because you like them. Dentist, everything. And that should be okay with the other person, this type of explanation. When it comes to religious things, it can get dicey, but I will tell you it's not impossible. I know couples who are in the traditions and they're not part of the same house. They respect each other's things, like each other's shrines, each other's stuff. Some shrines are together, some shrines are not, but it's not impossible. So try that. If she's like, no, whatever, I'm like, it's like picking a different doctor. I'm just more comfortable with another doctor. That doesn't mean that you don't want the traditions. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean that you're not ever going to be involved. But if you have mistrust issues with that priest, I would say stick to your guns. You're not going to be off for many reasons. One, your inner self may be protecting you from something in the future. Two, that may not be the right person for you. I have seen many people that they love said priest, right? And then somebody else gets referred to them and they're like, I hated him. He was awful. I just didn't like him. And everybody else seems to love him, but this one didn't. Not everyone is for everyone. And that should be okay. Remember also, you should be in these traditions because you want to be. Because you want to be, not because you're doing it for someone else. Can you find great fortune here like Ire? Of course you could. But it doesn't have to be by that hand, saying that priest's hands. And if in your heart you do not trust this person, listen to that. Trust your gut. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? If she's offended and she cannot understand that her honey is not comfortable, then it might not be a bad idea. If this is a priest, he may refer you to someone else, or you may look for somebody else on your own. It has to be okay because you're not comfortable. You're not going to put your hands and your life and your hard-earned money in the hands of someone you already distrust. And I highly recommend that you listen to your gut because we tend to avoid that. We tend to not listen. And then later on when we're crying, why is this happening to me? And there were red flags. And you chose to ignore them. And I'm speaking from experience. And it sucks. And I'm not here to sugarcoat it for you because this is important on many levels. You, by accepting a spiritual path with a priest, you're putting your life and your trust and your resources, of course, not all your resources, but you know what I'm saying? Like you're going to be paying money for things. Why would you do that with somebody you do not trust? Because you love somebody? Then later on, we're talking serious regret and anger when things go wrong because you did something that was not genuine. You were not walking in your truth. And again, trust your gut. Trust your gut. And I really hope that this explanation was able to kind of help you and clarify what you have already answered. All I did was dissect this for you. But I chose this because it really stood out. And I understand when it comes to relationships, you want to do things with your partner. I get it, Damon, I do. But trust your gut. Trust your gut on this. And meditate a lot. If you do have your own altar, take the time to meditate in front of that altar on your own so that you can be shown the right way to go. Damon, I want to thank you for writing this and for trusting us with a piece of your life. I know that it took guts to share it and some of the vulnerability of the situation because it's a big deal. And I wanted to thank you for writing the backstory as well as your question. And I really do appreciate this question because many people will just go along and then years down the line are like, why did things happen? It's because they didn't trust their gut and they kind of just went a little bit too much with the flow. So I thank you for submitting your question to our Ask a Priest series. And I hope, honestly, that you found it helpful. You have reached the end of this episode. For show notes, go to www.orishawisdom.com/61, and that would be the number 6 and the number 1. I keep saying this, but something major and exciting is coming to Orisha Wisdom, and it is going to be for all of those Alejos and Aborishas who do not have a spiritual house yet, and they are looking. I wonder what it's going to be, so I'm excited. And yes, Orisha swag is coming. I said this last week, and I didn't get a chance to put up the button, but this week you should find the button to get on the list for these two things, for the thing that is coming up, because I don't want to say what it is yet, but it's going to be pretty excited. For the people who are looking for a house and don't have one yet, there's going to be a button for you just to enter your email address. So you will be absolutely the first ones to know about that, and the first ones to know about Orisha swag and when it is going to be available, because that is super, 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 super exciting. And it's coming. It's almost here. So keep watch on that info link, orishawisdom.com/Iya Omileti, and listening to the Orisha Wisdom podcast or on YouTube, and make sure to whitelist my emails so they don't wind up in junk, spam, or who knows what other folders on your email list, and you will be the first to know. If you have found value in what I do and the content that I create, check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Iya Omileti, and you will have access to the podcasts before they are published and other perks. Only if you can, though, because they will help to offset the costs of this podcast so that I can create more content. Oh, and one more thing. If you become a Patreon, I will be raffle. Well, it's not really a raffle, but I will be gifting some of the first Orisha Wisdom or Orisha swag to one or two or a couple of lucky patrons. And I am very, very excited about that. And we are talking about, we're talking about swag. We're talking about things that you could proudly wear, and I'm pretty stoked. So if you want a chance to get your hands on one of them, become a patron, but only if you can. And I am really excited about that. If you like this episode and you find value for you and your growth, share it. Share it so that somebody else will be also able to get something out of it. If you can, write us a review on iTunes. And if you're on YouTube, like the episode, subscribe it, share it again, and click on the little bell icon so that you will be the first to know when there's a new video uploaded. Stay tuned for the next couple of episodes where we are going to continue to dive into more of your questions from Ask a Priest and some other topics. I can't wait. Until next time, may the elevated ancestors and all Orisha bless you immensely. Odabo.
Thank you for listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes at orishawisdom.com/podcast. Can't get enough of Orisha Wisdom? Check us out at orishawisdom.com and subscribe to our community. Remember, the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha is all around us. Be blessed, and until next time.